watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. Let's get straight to it. Now we start with Omicron cases in the country. India has now crossed 200 cases of Omicron, with Maharashtra and Delhi reporting the highest number of cases. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia has told the Rajya Sabha today that there is no evidence to suggest that existing vaccines don't work on Omicron variant of coronavirus, and he also said that some of the mutations reported on spike gene may decrease the efficacy of existing vaccines. Now, in a written reply in the Rajya Sabha, he said, and I quote, there are limited available data and no peer-reviewed evidence on vaccine efficacy or effectiveness to date on Omicron, end quote. Now, yesterday, Mr. Mansukh Mandavia had also said that India's vaccine manufacturing capacity will reach 45 crore doses per month in the next 2 months. Now, as far as COVID goes, India has reported 5,326 new COVID cases and 453 deaths in the last 24 hours. In the meantime, several restrictions coming in from several states. For instance, Karnataka government has said that no parties or mass gatherings will take place in the state from 30th of December to 2nd January in view of rising cases. Now, Chief Minister Bommai said, and I quote, mass gatherings will not be allowed, particularly in the MG Road area in Bengaluru. Restaurants and bars can function at 50% capacity, but special events like DJ parties will not be allowed, he said, end quote. Meanwhile, in Mumbai, the Mumbai civic body, the BMC, has said that gatherings of more than 200 people will now require special permission from the local assistant municipal commissioners. Now, in case of gatherings above 1,000, organizers need to take permission from the local disaster management authority. Now, according to a BMC order, any programs, functions, gatherings, weddings, parties, or even meetings that may be social, political, or religious in nature, people up to 50% of the capacity of the place are now allowed to gather in case of enclosed spaces, and people up to 25% of capacity are allowed to gather in case it is an open area. Moving on from COVID cases in the country, now Union Cabinet Minister for Women and Child Development, Smriti Irani, today introduced the Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021 in the Lok Sabha. Now, the bill seeks to raise the legal age of marriage for women from 18 to 21, which is the same for men. Now, opposition members in the meantime have been hitting out earlier as well, now today in the parliament, against the introduction of the bill. And they've said that this was being done in a hurry without any consideration with stakeholders. Meanwhile, while speaking in Uttar Pradesh, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, the central government has taken a significant step. Earlier, the age of marriage of women was 18 years, but girls also want to have more time to study. This is why we're trying to increase the age of marriage to 21, end quote. Now, while hinting towards the opposition who are opposing the bill, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, if anyone has a problem with that, they are seeing that too, end quote. Now, the opposition has objected to the government introducing the bill only minutes before the introduction. AMIM leader Asaduddin Owaisi termed the bill as a retrograde step. Meanwhile, TMC MP Derek O'Brien was suspended today from the Rajya Sabha for the remaining part of the current session for what they're calling it unruly behaviour in the House. Now, according to ANI, Derek O'Brien allegedly threw the Rajya Sabha rule book towards the chair during the discussion on Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021. Now, interestingly, in a conversation with NDTV, he said, and I quote, show me the footage, who said I threw the rule book, end quote. Now, he tweeted in the meantime saying, and I quote, the last time I got suspended from Rajya Sabha was when government was bulldozing farm laws. We all know what happened after that. Today, suspended while protesting against BJP making a mockery of Parliament and bulldozing Election Laws Bill 2021. Hope this bill too will be repealed soon, end quote. Now, the Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021 seeks to allow electoral registration officers to seek the Aadhaar number of people who want to register as voters for the purpose of establishing identity. Also in the news right now, the Trinamool Congress today registered a landslide victory in the Kolkata civic polls. Now, they've won 134 out of 144 wards. The BJP, which had emerged as the main opposition party in the assembly polls earlier this year, won 3 seats, while the Left Front and Congress won 2 each. Moving on now, Madhya Pradesh Home Minister Narottam Mishra said that the state government will introduce a bill in the state assembly that seeks to recover damages to public and private properties during strikes, protests, riots, or any congregation of people from the perpetrators. Now, Mishra told ANI that the bill will be introduced in the assembly either on the 21st of December or the 22nd of December. The bill was approved in the state cabinet last week. Moving on now, on Monday, the Nagaland Assembly unanimously adopted a resolution demanding the repeal of AFSPA, or the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. This comes after 14 people were killed after an insurgent operation just a couple of days ago. There have been several protests as well across the state against this incident. Now, Nagaland CM said the entire Naga society had been calling for AFSPA to be repealed. The House must sound the desire of the people, he said, and I quote, "The desire of the people is to repeal this undemocratic and draconian law," end quote. Now, to give you a bit of context, AFSPA gives armed forces the power to maintain public order in, and I quote, disturbed areas. They have the authority to prohibit a gathering of 5 or more persons in an area and can use force or even open fire after giving due warning if they feel a person is in contravention of the law. And on to business news right now. According to a Bloomberg report, the Indian rupee is set to end 2021 as Asia's worst performing currency. Now, according to a survey by Bloomberg, rupee may fall to 76.50 by the end of March. Now, it has declined 2% in this quarter as global funds pulled $4.2 billion of capital out of India's stock market, the most among regional markets where data is available. And news now coming in from across the world. An update now on Malaysia floods. Now it's getting worse, it seems, according to several reports. According to AFP, the death toll has now reached 14 and over 71,000 people have been displaced. The Malaysian military used boats, according to AFP report, on Tuesday to distribute food to people trapped in their homes after massive floods. Now, evacuees are being housed in government relief centers, but officials have warned to expect a rise in COVID cases linked to crowded shelters as well. An update now on sports news across the globe. Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai has denied making an accusation of sexual assault. Now, this is her first media interview since alleging a top Chinese leader had coerced her, allegedly, to have sex. Now, in the video interview with a Singaporean Chinese language newspaper, Ms. Pang said, and I quote, "I have never said or written that anyone sexually assaulted me. This point must be emphasized very clearly," end quote. Now, in her original note, which was posted on the Chinese social media platform Weibo in November, she accused former Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli of forcing her to have sex with him. Now, the post was subsequently taken down. There were a lot of reports about how there was global concern over her safety as well. Responding to her latest comments, the WTA, the governing body of women's tennis, said that it welcomed her appearance in a public setting, but that it did not, and I quote, "alleviate or address concerns about her well-being and ability to communicate without censorship or coercion," end quote. Meanwhile, Cricket South Africa announced that South Africa's upcoming home cricket series against India will now be played without spectators due to COVID. Now, the decision to play behind closed doors had been taken jointly, it said, with the Indian Cricket Board. Now, in a statement, the South African board has said, and I quote, "The decision was taken in order to avoid any breaches that could compromise it all from a COVID risk perspective and to also maintain a hazard-free bubble environment. End quote. And one piece of good news before we wrap up this bulletin, the Karnataka State Police has called for applications for the post of Special Reserve Sub-Inspector in KSRP and Indian Reserve Battalion from men, women, and people from the transgender community. Now, the notification was issued on Monday. Now, this was a PTI report that said that applicants must be graduate or equivalent from a UGC recognized university and will have to get a certificate from the district magistrate about their gender status, without which the application will not be entertained. Well, that's a wrap here on Just the News. Thank you so much for watching.